Okay. The dimly lit room is as filled with a tense atmosphere as it is incredibly quiet. Today, no one can stand in the way of the mighty Celestia, creating the thing that'll turn the world upside down. She took care of that. In the dead of night, in complete secrecy, a famous, in a narrow circle, scientist and alchemist is brewing a potion that'll crash like a wave across the seas and continents to cure people and change this magical land forever. The streets of every town and city will fill with echoes of her name, while fame and immense prosperity will be warming her heart. This is gonna require a lot of water. I can feel it. Everyone will be praising her. First and foremost, those arrogant leaders of the Ministry of Mages will fall at her feet, and then the rich men living among ordinary people will open their purses for her. Less wealthy citizens will have to wait for a while. In the end, this discovery will reach them as well. Everybody, without exception, will be grateful to her. Legends will be written about her for every future generation to glorify her contribution. Anticipating it, the tall young woman with long blonde hair weeps in a playful drawl the words of the spell which only she knows. A small cauldron is standing in the middle of it all, bursting with bright blue fire. She dances around the table, which is full of magical paraphernalia and papers with pentagrams drawn on them. The liquid inside of the cauldron is pulsing, quivering, and bubbling, as if it asking the sorceress to add another portion of the delicious fuel into it. Ripples of magic mingled with humorous dust warp the space around it. When the young woman checks with her records to make sure that her actions are right, her face grows extremely serious and focused for a second, but then a haughty madness illuminates it again. Loud, genuine laughter fills the room. Is that blood? It's blood. Yeah, her finger's bleeding. Okay. She has gone insane. I've been waiting for this for so long, whispers Celestia with fervor. 50 years of research, hundreds of failed experiments. Not now, though. Her voice sounds louder. Only one step remaining to my triumphant return to the civilized world. Just one drop, and they'll bow to me, the mighty Celestia. I'll go back there, avenge myself, and set my own rules. No one will dare to oppose me. The young woman draws geometrical shapes in the air, with her hands so fast that their dance turns into one single line. Circles, squares, and stars merge together, transforming constantly and forming something unheard of. Yes, the sorceress exclaims victoriously and stops abruptly when a flask materializes in front of her. With a shimmering, luminous potion gradually filling it. Thus, All I need is this. A drop of blood leaks out of her fingertip and falls right into the experimental brew. The liquid changes its color to red for a second, and then starts gurgling in an almost friendly way. It worked. The girl sighs with satisfaction, letting out a careless snort. Relaxes. That was easy. She's bursting with pride. She shouldn't be so pleased, though. The potion has other plans. Suddenly, the boiling liquid expands, rushes out of the flask with a nasty pop, and splashes right onto Celestia's hand. The young woman yells in surprise and drops the precious discovery on the floor. The glass shatters, and the former contents of the flask splatter onto the scientist's feet. Oof. No, no, no. Her face contorts in bafflement, disgust, fear of consequences. That wasn't supposed to happen. Celestia expected some sort of minor explosion, or a flash at least, but life definitely didn't prepare her for anything like this. Nobody knows what the sorceress was hoping for, but Celestia's experiments rarely ended exactly the way she intended. I open my eyes a bit and get blinded by the painfully bright light. It's a gosh darn morning already. A lousy mood, an aching head, all that's left for me to remember the last experiment by. I'll try not to think about the consequences, but the body isn't convenient for pouring myself an energetic drink in the morning. Peering around through barely open eyes, I tried to find a big bowl of bean broth on the table purely by touch. I drink that at least, since I'm unable to reach the kettle to boil some water, being as short as I am now. Taking a couple sips, I feel the migraine toning down. All night long, I was trying to find out what went wrong, examining the place where the accident happened, looking closely at the nuances. But I guess that exhaustion overtook me, and I passed out without writing a single thing in my report. And now it feels like there's a vacuum in my head. All because I failed to reach a definite conclusion. Before I must make peace with the result and move forward. The nasty thought of my failure still resonates bitterly, deep inside me, burrowing into my heart. To make it all even worse, I already sent a letter confirming the success of my experiment to the ministry. A verifier must be on the way here. There will be problems, big and serious problems. A huge city where the ruling apparatus is concentrated. It consists of houses of the mages along with the public places where all of the important business connected with the government is discussed and where new sorcerers are taught. The capital city of ordinary people is situated next to it, and the fact the king rules there is purely formality. Okay. And keep breathing in a steady rhythm, trying to calm down. Nothing horrible had happened. I merely became a smaller version of myself. In every sense. I even feel twice as light as I was before. In any other circumstances, any girl would be more than happy with such a miraculous diet, but my eyes grow wide the moment I realize the scale of disaster. It's impossible to describe the tempest I tried to suppress inside of me. Realizing that something far worse than alteration of my appearance has happened. Holy Philosopher's Stone. Cold goosebumps rise all over my body, making me shake with wrath. Where is my power? I can't feel it filling me at all, nor can I sense the slightest trace of connection with the earth. Involuntarily, I start pacing nervously from one side of the small room I'm in to the other and back. As a result of my experiment, I didn't merely end up in this body, I also lost my powers somehow. The connection with the magical center of the earth is lost, which means that my well of magic abilities ran dry, so I can't cast spells freely anymore. Book. Magical center of the earth is okay if you're an ordinary human and don't understand where the magical power comes from. Ask any of the powerful mages, and they'll courteously tell you that they were born with a feeling of thread-like connection to an enormous ball of lava in the center of the planet. With perfect ease, unnoticed by anyone else, a mage pulls the energy for spells as if through a umbilical cord. That sort of connection may also show itself with age. Oh, okay. In a nutshell, now I'm just a mere human being. A totally unremarkable alchemist. An ordinary person. A stifling wave of self-loathing crashes over me. I couldn't just turn into one of the consuming creatures that easily, right? Well, I've been dashing from corner to corner, cursing everything and sentencing everyone to die in the most painful and gory of ways. There was a gentle knock at the door. At first, I don't pay it any attention. I have much more pressing business than that. Whoever is out there, they can wait. But the knock comes again, more insistent this time. And yet again, and again. Now the person outside the door is hammering on it unceremoniously, demanding to be let in. What kind of barbarian is breaking the portal of my flimsy tent? Who could even get to this place, forsaken by every living thing to begin with? Would someone else be sentenced to imprisonment in this barren terrain? Or, no, it can't be that the emissary from the ministry got here this fast. I was sure that I had 2 more weeks at least. But now I finally realized that my biggest problem is already at the door. Open the door. I'll slowly open the door a crack. Hot air rushes into the room and the ochre-colored sand waves in on a gust of wind. Worried by the small pile of sand forming on the floor, I don't look at the guest at all. Greetings, Minister Mage. You're early. May I come in? Certainly. I sigh heavily, open the door wide after some hesitation, letting him in, and then shut in again with a significant effort. His body is noticeably weak. Maybe I should kill him, so the ministry wouldn't know of my failure. There are no other options left. I can't make him forget things by the use of a spell of oblivion or make him fall asleep after all. Maybe I should knock him out cold and tie him up. Scientist and alchemist Celsia. The visitor's voice sounds uncertain and surprised, as if he doesn't trust his eyes, and not to discern if the person in front of him is the one he was supposed to meet or not. In the flesh, I raise my eyes to look at my guest, expecting to see an aged and battered but respected mage from the academy, where I was working before my exile. But to my shock, it's none other than him. Oh, he looks smug as shit. He looks smug. An erstwhile acquaintance of mine who would be the last person I like to see right now. As usual, he's dressed in the standard clothes of the snobbish sorcerers, a lightly colored thin shirt, thick trousers with deep pockets, and a cape providing some protection from the wind. Everything is trimmed with gold. An amulet which protects him from unpleasant accidents is resting against his chest. His trousers are tucked into a red high-heeled boots laced tight to keep the mage in focus and protect his feet and legs from the various serpents he might encounter on his journey. I swear he looks like a lady at a ball. Yes, salt. Okay, what we got in our book? If you see a man in high-heeled boots, don't be surprised. It's most likely a mage. They like being elevated above the others as much as sumptuous and somewhat feminine gold-trimmed clothes with heaps of jewelry. They also often wear lots of amulets. They are not offended if you take them for a good-looking woman. While seeing them from the back, they'll take it as a compliment. Okay. So we're going with all mages are smug here. Okay. I'm so glad to see you. A husky, slightly saccharine smile doesn't leave the tall man's lips. No, no, no. Anyone but him. We parted ways on a really bad, destructive note. I'll be surprised if he doesn't mention the ruins of the observatory any moment. Throwing a fleeting glance around the room, his contempt filled the gaze, then lands on me. You kind of shrank since the last I saw you. He gives me an appraising look, and his lips stretch in a malicious sneer. Everywhere. Surely the ministers mixed something up if they sent you here. I pressed my lips into a line not to act rude, but to still manage to blurt out something impudent. How can an incompetent wizard like you make decisions this important? I cross my arms on my chest and pierce him with a displeased glare. He only chuckles nastily in reply. Your voice shrank as well. Avoiding an answer, he snarkily pointed out my new tone of speech, which resembles the thin, ringing soprano of a little girl now, and it's really unusual for me too. Well, let me think. I need to calm down. This unexpected meeting might actually play right into my hands if I'm able to make a deal with him. After all, we used to be friends. Listen, Giselle. The servant appears in the room, interrupting me. Oh. Clem is carefully climbing out of a big trunk with a broom, his hands to check what the noise was about. He looks at me thoughtfully and shifts his sad gaze to Giselle. Looking at the mage, the guy sighs with disappointment. We rarely have guests in here. It always seems like the enunciation of words takes a serious effort for him, which is why Clem is not widely known as a chatterbox. Instead, he just suddenly does whatever I tell him to do. And if he ends up saying something, it sounds very soft and secure and repressed. Previously, I needed to occupy my helper with something so they wouldn't interfere with my greatest experiment by accident. A couple of days ago, this guy was sent into the trunk storage room to tidy it up. How? Is it a trunk or a storage room? How? Huh? Okay. In there and sort through the items. Count the beakers and the flask and note general data about my working inventory. It's a simple task, really. My other servant has been dealing with a lengthy, far more complicated task, which is why he's currently absent. And there's been no news of him for a week. I hope there's no need for me to worry. Guess his rude tone interrupts my musings. The man took his time to settle on a chair comfortably, and I started browsing through the books. Who's the poor orphan in an apron? A broom? That's one of my experiments. A golem. He helps me about the house by cooking and cleaning. The stone guy bows politely and starts dusting the shelves nearby in a modest silence. That thing's a golem? He bursts out with a loud laugh that I want to block out by covering my ears. A scrawny, small, and quiet golem, unable to fulfill its functions. How could the great sorceress make such a mistake? Which attempt was it? The 100th? The dog coughs, clutching his stomach. That obviously hurts from laughing so hard. These dims make the golem hang his head low with a sigh of shame. You could just destroy this one and make a new one. Huge, strong, and pileable, able to carry heavy loads like they're nothing, instead of a babying this weakling. Oh, shut up already. Tired of listening to him, I just can't tolerate that personal abuse. I tear my eyes away from the book and poke my fingers into the man's chest, well into the area on his chest that I'm able to reach. Crystal, you better watch your mouth while you're a guest in my house. These callous and stubborn behaviors are exactly the reason why I left you. The man falls silent in surprise and then spits out fuming. Your brain must have shrank as well, if your memory's failing, huh? It was me who left you because I couldn't tolerate your irresponsibility any longer. Neither of us wanted to admit the reason for our separation that happened 100 years or so ago. I've always thought that he's dumb, and he's always told me I'm too impulsive. The people around us saw no glimpse of a happy future for the union between a mage and an alchemist. Well, it turned out that they were right. You must get rid of the degraded results of field experiments without wanting for the problems to catch up with you. Who said that he's a degraded result? I raise a hand, wave it to show that the conversation's over, and switch my attention back to the book, grumbling. The golem is very touchy. You better apologize for your own good. Really? They are merely soulless puppets. How is this one different from the others? There's a soul inside him. This remark makes the soul fall in kind of stupor, and when the perplexity finally wears off, he asks me with indignation. How come? Did you create it? Its soul was free and came into my grasp right on time when I was carrying out the ritual of bringing a rock formation to life. However, forget it. You wouldn't understand it anyway. The mage cooled his temper, grew thoughtful, and then politely addressed my creation. I didn't mean to upset you. Clem bows reverently to show that the apology is accepted. Suddenly, a small black silhouette of a raven appears nearby, slowly increasing in size, morphing into something vaguely humanoid and gaining color. Oh, they look so small. They look quite a bit smug. Bright red hair resembling searing hot lava appears first, followed by small azure horns growing out of the lightly colored skin. Sly blue eyes, outlined with black, look at me demandingly. The transformation takes only a few seconds, and the servant starts reporting his actions to me eagerly and smoothly while it's still in progress. Mistress Celsia! The raven found that you were asking for, and even more. Good job. The demon is standing nearby, his back towards me, and some knick-knack looking like a rock in his hand. A bonus to his fulfilled task. I figured out that he brought me yet another artifact. I would be able to research and use it in further experiments. Frost salt is waiting for you in the trunk storage, and this thing will be in the room. Nice, good boy. Mistress, you've changed somehow. Became less, well, just smaller. Hopefully it won't stop you from rewarding your obedient servant. What is his reward? The young man noticed a weird change to my appearance, but it didn't seem to trouble him much. Even if I turn into an enormous monster and old wrinkled hag, he won't mind at all. All he cares about is me fulfilling the promise I gave him. Support the life force in him while he's in the earthly world. Oh, okay. It won't, but this mission is not in the list of services I repay you with my energy for. Plus, I'm unable to do it at the moment anyway. You want your creation to fall apart? Leave this world without a trace? There's still plenty of time until the last charge of your energy runs out. The more energy, the better. The tree's face changes from kind and wheedling to cold and full of repulsion. I'm used to these rapid mood shifts of his. I'll say it's a side effect of me bringing him to life. Wouldn't you have said that before? So our entity wouldn't freeze its butt off in the endless white desert for nothing? The young man leaps a couple steps away from me, firmly landing on his feet. I couldn't. Or you wouldn't have agreed to do it. I shrug and go back to browsing my records and calculations, letting Citri know that he can go. Our eyes and ears belong to you. The creature snorts and disappears, leaving only a cloud of black, like dust falling on the floor. Stop making extra work for Glim. The stalk grew more and more tense as he was listening to our conversation. Who was the painted clown? A familiar. A familiar? Where did you get him from? You've always been opposed to them. That's not even my point. You're not a witch, you're an alchemist. Your kind can't have familiars. Says who? Ooh. His eyes full of outrage, and he shouts, slamming his fist against the table. It's written in every book. I decided that I should react to his quick-tempered and spiteful exclamation the way I used to do. So ignoring his tone, I calmly state the fact, understanding the young man's ignorance about many things. Not all that's written in books is true. My words make him every angrier. So, with a loud snort, he thumps his fists against the tabletop once more. You're so gullible. And you're breaking every possible law. Again. If the higher council learns about it, the council is too far away, and it has already applied one of the most severe measures of punishment to me by sending me here. Okay. The higher ones, the great ones, the ancient ones, they bestowed many epic nicknames upon themselves. A group of quiet, vigorous, elderly men who've been in power for thousands of years and aren't in any hurry to pass it on to younger and more promising sorcerers. They have a huge influence on the whole world in many cases, thanks to their ability to pull the wool over other people's eyes. Anyway, if you have some kind of plan about overthrowing them, forget it. You won't beat them alone. Noted. Throughout the ages, an exile of a mage to the desert has been an extremely cruel act. It is widely believed that the hot air, absence of water, and companionship badly affects the amount of powers of any creature. The power simply runs out at some point, and the sorcerers, no matter what their field of activity, become weak and lose their ability to use magic in their own interests. You ended up here because you deserved it. If I were one of you mages, I would have avoided the exile easily. Alas, I'm merely an alchemist. Besides, they'll execute me anyway when they find out that I... Are you saying that you haven't made the elixir yet? Spite and irritation on his face changed into surprise with a tiny bit of compassion. And then his lips curve in a slight smirk with a hint of pity as if saying, "Oops, you did it again." The mage's tone becomes softer, as if he wants to comfort me, like an old friend, or tell me that everything is okay. You knew the sentence for failing scientific requests. Why did you even pick this task as one of the conditions for the shortening of your exile? It was extremely interesting to me. So interesting that you would ready to waste more than a decade on it? Do you think I was given a choice? A smirk doesn't leave my lips. The Sword has always been loyal to the ruling elite, and thus blind to their machinations. The mage's eyes widen for just a second, and then he hides his surprise behind a mask of disdain. They'll sentence you to death for sure. They must have to do. Just the last time, but I shrug carelessly. Whatever you think of me, I know and can do much more than everyone in the ministry put together. And I'm useful to them because I deal with their frequent requests that no one but me dares to attempt. Who made the baldness reducing mixture? If you'd like to know, no one from the higher council asks how I managed to get the rare red moss that grows only in the demonic world while being in exile. Would you agree to be the one to make the soup chunks? The soap chunks. I guess once is knowing that such a task is far from pleasant. The maker would have to knead the sticky substance, the fumes of which stings one's eyes, then keep it in a bright hot sun for a few months and put it into a special mold. And I made 500 of them with different effects. Also, Salt nods hesitantly. Enough. I've never held your outstanding cleverness and curiosity in doubt, but rules are rules. So, what good at it? Is the status? Ah! Okay, so we have diplomacy, benevolence, sincerity, willpower, humanity, and confidence. Okay. But I have very decent diplomacy because I'm picking diplomatic answers. Okay. The young man's temper starts showing again, so I turn away from him quietly and start shuffling through pages in high hopes to find something new. Some hints, as the frustration boils inside of me. A decent alchemist can't take a single step because of those mages with their principles, laws, and rules. If their numbers and thus their power in total wasn't so dominant over the other sorcery-capable magical creatures of the world, they definitely wouldn't be the ones in control. I start estimating and analyzing this absolutely random subject I find curious. People are good for nothing. The only thing they're capable of is consumption. The next category of population by numbers are witches, then demonologists. Alchemists wouldn't stand a chance. There are too few of us, although if the others are exterminated... I chuckled at my musings, the result of which was perfectly clear at the very first second of my pondering. Celsia, are you listening? Ah, yes. They have no proof of me lying to them just yet. Not yet. They'll arrange a council to debate before they execute me. And maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe not. As an option, I could become a dark mage and renounce everything. You know, being in exile is not all bad, no matter how you look at it. Another one good at it. Anyone can become a sorcerer denying all the magical laws of this world and using forbidden spells and rituals that cause harm to the surroundings and profit to the magician. but not everyone who practices these things can escape the ministry's inquisition. Ah, okay. I'll be carrying out the undercover experiments on the run from the ministry. Stop saying this nonsense. You've always been a scientist who did everything for your own benefit first, and a tiny bit left for others. The adult lets out a sigh of exhaustion and disappointment as he looks at the ceiling. One could possibly think that he's calling out for the god that people say their thanks to before every daily meal. I once, as I realized that without my power, I'm really close to being an ordinary person as well. So it seems like I could send some pleas to the gods too. Disgusting. Goosebumps run all over my body at the realization of me letting myself think about that sort of thing. Logical facts, stones, symbols, and formulas, magical energy coming from the bowls of the earth. These are the things one should rely on, not on some ephemeral creature that talks to people from time to time through the so-called priest. Shaking my head to get rid of such unnecessary thoughts, I flail my hands with annoyance. I was a step away from the greatest discovery of my life and almost got to the meaning of alchemy. I don't think that making the potion is possible at all. It's just a myth. Making a solution with the interesting properties is a piece of cake. You can only need a liquid and an ingredient that'll react with it. Mix them carefully, following the instructions from the recipe book you can find in a library or borrow from a friendly mage nearby. When you're done brewing, name the potion accordingly to the effect it has, so everyone would know what to use it for right away. If you don't know the necessary proportions, better not risk it or you'll end up getting a weird and possibly harmful result. I throw a look full of rage and jealousy at my guest, and he falls silent once more. Don't you devalue my many years of work? Everything is possible in the world if you try hard enough. I checked and rechecked my diagrams and calculations. All of them were correct. The problem is somewhere else. In your head. And in your overconfidence. He calms down completely and leans back in the armchair with a thoughtful face. This time, they can really execute you, or cast a seal of oblivion on you. The council won't be wasting their time and power on me unless I'm a dark mage. Besides, I don't have a hold on dark masses of energy. And no one has ever stripped the light mages of their memories to cleanse them of malicious thoughts. I begin pacing across the room thinking of my possible further actions. Surprisingly enough, the young man exceeds my expectation and doesn't make any spiteful or irritating comments as he gets lost in thought. Don't worry. These are my problems, and I'll find a way to avoid the worst case scenario. All you need to do is wait a bit before returning with your report about my failed experiment. Just wait, huh? And why would I do that? Well, for example, to become the first witness to the greatest discovery of all. So slowly looks me over from head to toe. I'm witnessing it already. That's just an accident. As usual. I'll sort it all out. And I think you should pay respect to the years we spent together by helping me. Not happening. To honor those times, I'll immediately notify the higher council about your experiment being a failure. That's not very nice. You're my old friend. Oh, now we're using the friend card? I thought we're ex-friends, not old friends. Like, the Saul glances at me with a hint of doubt in his eyes, but pride takes over. What is going on with him? Huh? He turns around to walk away when suddenly something flashes in front of the door. And the very next instant, the mage becomes extremely ruffled. What just happened? This is a source of petty tyranny, not a house. The mage thinks it's some trick of mine and goes out the door scoffing. This time, he manages to get out of my sight. Now he can't leave anyway. Okay. And in a minute or two, he appears on my threshold again, even more disheveled and surprised. I didn't even have a chance to start worrying about you. Did you enjoy your short trip back to the ministry? What is this nonsense? Elsia? Have you barely thought of getting the alchemy with a report about me and gotten struck by lightning? He nods with an obvious suspicion. Huh? Got a new thing in the book. Or not? No, we did. I guess not. Guess not. Little scrap of soap. Okay. This time I have nothing to do with it. It's an alarm system. The hired council of yours is so scared of me outsmarting the spell of exile and running away that they set the seals of denial of malicious thoughts in here as soon as I made this reinforced basic camp. Now any thoughts of going back to our dear academy make an electric current go through the thinker's body. I avoided with a single effort of will. Oh, there's something else. I think you walked into the trap while you were wandering through the desert, looking for me, a seal of binding to the location. When I say the name of the trap, the mage's face contorts as if he just saw something unpleasant and disturbing in front of him. Realizing his position, the mage rolled his eyes in frustration. Great. So now I can't get any further away from here than 100 meters. Those seals are so trivial, it's surprising that you walked right into one of them. I managed to locate them when I got here, and you didn't? Didn't they give you a map of some sort? Of a guide when they sent you to the desert? The mage is ready to incinerate me with his eyes, but I decide to take advantage of the wonderful set of coincidences and speak up quickly. If you help me, I'll help you to lift the effect of the spell afterwards. Why do you think I won't be able to do that on my own? You can't know what was used during the seal's casting, and it takes a lot of time to figure that out. A couple of years maybe. And I know how to defuse the seal, but I don't want to let you go at all. I'll just send a letter to the ministry. They'll come here for me. I dare say. And you'll openly admit your incompetence in front of everyone. He knows what she's doing. Sol scoffs, and after a moment of thinking, replies, Fine. I'll pretend that I'm still on my way, and no rules will be broken in this case. Yes, and? I interrupt him carelessly. If you walk as far as 100 meters away from the tent, you won't just get thrown back. You'll also be paralyzed for about 10 minutes, so be careful. Those seals are the most powerful. New note in the book. The mage falls silent for a short while, trying not to say something he would regret later, and ignoring my last comment continues. Okay, so heals. Any powerful mage can cast a special spell known for glowing symbols, which in turn can be placed on a surface, a creature, or some object. If you suddenly realize that you can take a single step of lightning strikes you when you let yourself think of something forbidden. Congratulations, you walked right into an invisible pentagram with a specific effect. You can try to pray to set yourself free, but most likely it won't help. Okay. After all, getting to this desert from the nearest village takes about 3 months, and the search for your abode, 1 more month. That's right. It's said that teleportation to this area doesn't work, since the local terrain hides lots of dangers and oddities that can kill the transported sorcerer instantly. Plus, it's too detached from the civilized world. Okay. But for the rules of the narrow-minded mages, they would have stopped wasting their time on lengthy walks under the sweltering sun a long while ago and found a way of transporting themselves here safely. And if they had refrained from sending me here, I would have shown them one. Unable to hold back, I asked him snarkily, "How sweet! You were in so much of a hurry to see me that you decided to get here sooner?" Remembering our connection, I had to say that it's always been on the brink of animosity, an endless and senseless confrontation. I wanted to witness your failure, and I'm doing just that. Everything's not lost yet. I correct him at once and think, practice shows that it's difficult to live with Gestalt. I can't tolerate his harshness and rudeness. Some conflicts will definitely rise. We are incompatible, but I have no other choice at the moment. Alright, so be it. I'll let you learn true hospitality with my assistance. Are you going to keep needling me all this time? Better consider where you could mess up. And while you do, I'll unpack my things. Okay. It's not me who started it. I just continue, all in similar fashion. Prior to bickering, Gestalt moved to the kitchen area. Gestalt pulls 2 small sacks out of his pocket, throws them on the floor, and snaps his finger, making the sacks grow twice as big with a whistling sound. I wasn't impressed. I used to do that as well. It's the most simple spell of space. And now I'm unable to cast even that. Bushes under spells, then I assume. Okay. The powers of words is so immense that it is possible to create magic with their use even by thought alone. There are multitudes of different spells, all of them have intuitively clear titles and sometimes have few synonyms. Also, the mages will always understand what spell the companion is talking about, even if it sounds like a complete nonsense to an outside listener. Okay. Even though I've been stubborn and in denial, an unwanted thought still rushes through my mind. What if I really made a mistake somewhere? Before carrying out the experiment, I checked everything 100 times and compared it with the records in multi-volume encyclopedias. I couldn't possibly have made a miscalculation while combining the ingredients. The formulas were correct, and the quality of the elements I picked by my own hands was the highest level. I feverishly walk in circles around the room, nervously plucking at the end of my top with my fingertips. Thankfully, it doesn't hang on my little body like a shapeless sack, but hugs it snugly, having become as small as it is thanks to the properties of the magical fabric. Chaotic conclusions appear in my mind and add even more disruption to the successful development of the situation. The intense analyzing makes my head spin, and I sink into the chair limply. Sort of the ingredients. The best course of action in this situation would be to examine the spot where the experiment took place and to inspect the ingredients. Some of them might be spoiled, which in turn led to this outcome. But I couldn't overlook that, right? Even though I don't have any of those substances left, I can still analyze their residual traces. Citri? Yes, mistress? What would you like? Appearing at my first call, the demon addresses me with the utmost fawning in his voice. Follow me. I go to the working table where I place the reservoirs I used in my recent failed experiments. True follows me, floating through the air as a puff of black smoke, and reforms directly next to the spot where I need him. Take a close look at the ingredients in this list. I point at the parchment at the corner of the table. Maybe you'll notice something odd, spoiled or unsuitable, or... Are you looking for the reason for your powers being sealed in this? Rather small body. But you know that I lost my connection to the earth. The demon is firmly bound to you by the contract, and of course I felt the change. He turns away to the side, trying not to show his joy at my misfortune, and smirks smugly. Citri knows that if I obtained immortality, he would have been at my behest forever. The mightiest sorceress. She couldn't have made that kind of mistake. Somebody else must be guilty of her failure. And you'll figure everything out and get your power back soon enough. I don't feel offended by these words, but they make me a bit angry in pursuit of knowledge. I carry out different experiments, one after another. I know for sure that precisely 51% of my attempts ended with success. 32 didn't have the result I expected, but still turned out well, and only 17% failed. The result of this experiment can be put in the last category. Although it might happen that some positive consequence will show up in time, thus I'll move the experiment to the second or even the first group. But at the moment it's a failure, no doubt. I heard, and Citri's expression changes. Will Mistress give a reward for help? The Raven asks me in a sweet and high voice as he approaches the list. It looks like our last talk taught him a lesson, so now he wants to be sure that I will reward him with energy later. Since when has the fulfillment of an order become random good deed? It's your duty. Ignoring his sugary sweet tone, I start examining some of the objects in my working space. Citri grimses grumpily, looking at the contents of both the list and the tabletop, and then flies really close to me with a malicious smile. Oh. His hands slide down my shoulders and chest, his arms squeezing me in a hug. The Raven begins to whisper in my ears sweet compliments that would make any lady from the nearest village succumb to the charm of a suitor. Mistress, you're so wonderful. Mistress, you are like the sun shining for us every day. For a moment, I'm getting a warm feeling spreading through my heart, but it quickly fades away. These tricks don't influence me. He knows that. Mistress, you've been working so much. Mistress, you are so tired. It would be better if you let your loyal servant help you to relax a bit. The demon often tries to tempt me and get in my favor somehow. This kind of behavior isn't based on him loving or respecting me. He just wants to get a reward. Mistress, believe us. You will like it. Mistress? Citri? Yes. I take 2 bowls full of crumbling mixtures, and after pouring their contents into 1 bowl, give it to the raven. Don't you dare leave the room before you divide these mix back into 2 bowls. I want to teach him a lesson. The young man growls with displeasure and yanks the bowl out of my hands. And why should a demon do this? You're my familiar. You're bound to me. You are my eyes and ears, my hands. Or must I remind you of your place in this house every time we talk? The young man's face darkens and becomes extremely cold. He shows his true nature when I make him angry. All I need right now is the demon doing what I ask him. This won't help the raven get closer to freedom. Who knows? Maybe if he hadn't wasted my time on arguments and just completed the task quietly like Glenn does, you would have been free a long time ago. This task is far too simple for a magnificent creature. My kind shouldn't be doing it. Citri's voice is overflowing with contempt. He stops holding back his temper and tells me all he thinks of this punishment. I calmly listen to his outbursts and sort through the ingredients on my own. Your servant is a pure-blooded demon from the depths of hell. Only by half. That's his weak spot. I should remind him of his role in my play more often. Richie scoffs haughtily, and then, as if he begrudgingly admits his defeat, obeys and flies to the corner under the ceiling. Floating there on a dark cloud, he starts sorting the crumbling crumbs, occasionally throwing a cold glance at me, giving me goose pimples as I examine the utensils the ingredients were in. Too bad that he's a bad helper in this business. I shouldn't have asked him to do it. To begin with, meanwhile, I closely inspect the residue left by the ingredients. I'll be sure to break his demonic nature and make him succumb to me completely. I cannot, with an easy heart, let him out into the world while his inhuman half is strong. He could cause too much harm. My heavy sigh reaches the young man's ears, and he instantly materializes behind my left shoulder to whisper into my ear. Done. That was quick. Thanks. When you want to, you can do anything. Well done. I take the bowls out of the demon's hands and hide them in the forest drawer. Maybe you're tired after all and would like to accept your favorite familiar's help to relax. The tree nut again. A skeptical and stern look makes the demon shut up and he almost turns away. If you aren't going to check the ingredients, at least don't bother me. The young man's face contorts with disgust, but he suppresses whatever he wants to say and starts sniffing everything that's on the table without touching it. The demon is extremely sensitive when it comes to artifacts and their quality, which is why I often send him to get the knickknacks I need. Usually I entrust him with tasks of finding common and quite accessible substances and items. All of it is the best quality. The young man lifts the bowl where the salt was, and with a sneeze puts it back. Then he swipes his finger against the tabletop where the shards of the whispering crystals were and licks it. Even the honey is okay. The tree smacks his lips, feeling an unusual taste of the sweet treat in his mouth. What's wrong then? My words aren't really addressed to anyone. It's more of a way to express my perplexity with the situation. But the young man reacts to them and replies coldly. How should a demon and a raven know? What you ask is done. May your familiar go? Sure. I'll reward you later. I give him a grateful nod and wave my hand, showing that he can be free for now, while I delve into analysis. I've looked through everything, up and down, backwards and forwards, and as expected, I haven't found anything suspicious. No mistakes in formulas, not even the smallest one. Every single ingredient is right, and of high quality. Alas, I haven't found any mention of the power being sealed in as a side effect in any of the tesserates, even though I own a number of extremely rare ones. I've been gathering my book collection for a really long time, I even stole some of the books from the Academy of Mages when I found out about my upcoming exile. And why shouldn't I have done it? After all, they are guilty of not noticing my genius. I'm sure that's right. Now, they have no idea where a couple of hundred books could disappear to. Maybe they started some sort of investigation to find the thief. I grinned wickedly to myself. Fine, I'll return these books when they give me access to the ministry again. Though if there's no mistake anywhere, it means that I'll need to repeat the experiment one more time, paying close attention to its every stage, and find out what the problem was, since the root of the problem is most likely in the technique of the experiment. In other words, there might have been a tiny and seemingly insignificant mistake during the potion making ritual, which led to these sad consequences. Even though I'm a genius, a small piece of paper that covered the edge of a seal caused such a calamitous result. I was monitoring the purity of the experiment really closely. Thought though every detail, but I was in a big hurry that day as I followed the urge to rub my success into the face of those brutes sitting in their comfortable houses. Other than doing the preparations for another attempt, I must figure out where my power is and try to get it back. I hope that its absence is temporary. Is it morning? Filled with enthusiasm for the search for the truth, I didn't notice how the night had passed. So much the better. I need to act without further delay. I'll have plenty of time to sleep later. Clem? A golem appears in front of me almost instantly, despite the fact that he's supposed to be cooking breakfast now. Interesting. Okay. Food. No. A bit longer. Okay, and don't forget to call the guests to dine. And you must be at the table too. Sure. Saying this, the stone guide walks away as fast as he's got here, and decided to make use of my spare time and line up my plan down to the minute details. I'll need to restart everything from the very beginning and get it done in a short time, which means that I'll need help. I don't like to ask for it, but my current body, unable to do magic, is not ready for any solitary drastic measures. In 10 minutes, Clem announces that the table is set and everybody is waiting for me. Taking the scribbled papers with me, I walk to the kitchen, where two young men are indeed sitting and waiting for the delicious food. The salt looks unhappy. Is he going to act as usual and turn his nose up even though his stomach is softly rumbling? I would have believed that you're posing as the polite mistress of the house if I didn't know you better. You are wonderful and generous as usual, but you're well aware of the fact that your servant, as a higher being, has no interest in human food, right? We prefer something more exquisite. The demon hasn't eaten any ambrosia for a long while. Technically, ambrosia is also a type of human food, but yeah, I'm guessing that's not the aspect he's talking about. The demon hasn't eaten any ambrosia for a long while. The tree looks blissfully thoughtful as he imagines the sweet divine nectar any more, and he'll start drooling. Of course, he's blowing the beliefs of his body to deal with food out of proportion on purpose, to wheedle out something delicious from me. And in fact, he likes the food Glam cooks a lot. I have some dried ambrosia in the cellar. Want some? The tree winces, sulking a bit. He knows that I'm talking about the nasty weed that causes trouble for many farmers, destroying their crops and making their cattle. Oh my god. I'm surprised it's not a topic in the book. Oh, there it is. Delectable food reminiscent of strawberry cotton candy, and it's liked by all living creatures, gives the one who consumes it a few curious and unpredictable beneficial physical effects, Sharp eyesight, amazing agility. Sadly, the effects on Ambrosia don't last long. Okay. I tricked the demon last time when he asked for the nectar by giving him the bitter herb instead. It's the devil's dust. Why do people name things the same way to begin with? I shrug and turn to the person who cooked the dinner for us. He's been standing next to me, not daring to sit down. Even though I don't mind Glenn doing things without me asking for them, he decided to play the part of a weak-willed dummy for some reason. I guess it's easier for him to live this way, following my orders. Clem, sit at the table. The meal was simple but delicious. There's not much you can get in the desert. Therefore, Glam is responsible for the food. He goes perfectly with this task. Fried cacti, generously doused with a sauce made of dried bugs and lizard meat stew with vegetables. A pleasant smell reminiscent of the aroma one might sense in the most luxurious inns. Gives a feeling of civilization. For the first time in forever, I'm having a meal not over work, but with someone else. Quite pleasant. Everyone starts eating in silence. When all of the glasses and plates are empty, I get up and dump my small hands against the table to attract the attention of my companions before they get a chance to wander away. Now listen to me carefully and be sure not to gape. I sit at my favorite spot and look with a badly hidden delight at the stall, gasping with indignation, but keeping quiet nonetheless. As of all you know, I didn't get to. The words lodge in my throat like a lump and refuse to fly out as if someone has muted them. Then the mage, feeling the right moment for a little revenge, blurts out, "Your experiment failed miserably." It didn't end successfully. I glare at the young man from the corner of my eyes and continue. As you can see, my looks have changed a bit. Much more than that happened because of your experiments. Thankfully, no one else got harmed this time. A tempest rises inside me as a reaction to the mage's snipes, but I must stay calm and not fall for obvious provocation. I do my best to look calm on the outside, hide the affront, and put out the flame raging in my soul. Don't interrupt, mistress. Surprisingly enough, Citrig comes to my aid. Otherwise, we'll be sitting here till tomorrow. Now that's realistic. There's something else. My power. Well, it's gone. Giselle almost falls off the chair. What do you mean by gone? Your abilities for magic were the most pronounced. That's impossible. If a person was born with it, it won't just disappear. We are connected with the center, the way a child is in a womb is connected to its mother, and we remain linked to that thread. I can't feel that connection anymore. Get it? I sulk since I had to say out loud the thing I didn't want to admit the most. Giselle lets out a choked sound. It looks like he's extremely taken aback and frustrated by the news. Why isn't he happy? It vanished somehow. Got cut down. Got lost. For a while. All is not lost yet. There's still hope. So you have nothing to feed me with. Not even a fraction of energy? The deal with you is still intact because I'll find the ways for me to do magic again. Very soon, and for now I have stuff to offer you as a reward for your obedience. Maybe it's for the best. The alchemist never had a strong link with the earth. You're a scientist who follows formulas and diagrams. There's no need of spells when you're mixing ingredients or alloys, only logic. Quick wits and gain of mana. So everything has pretty much gone back to normal. The soul speaks with some kind of empathy without taunting or sarcasm, but his words resound in my heart with pain anyway. I won't be able to keep experimenting and connecting the fields of science into one without my power. Seeing how lost I look, the mage stops talking. An awkward pause falls, but thankfully not for too long since Glim decided to speak up. Will the ingredients need to be gathered again? I react at once when I see the opportunity to change the topic. Yes. I examined the ritual I carried out before very closely and reached some conclusions, which you shouldn't clog your brains with. I'll try to make the elixir again to check those conclusions and... Aren't you scared of shrinking even more? The mage mumbles, interrupting me. I can assign you as a test subject. Agreed. The sparks that fly when our eyes meet could easily ignite everything in this room. First make the potion, then we'll see. Let's see, I'll be in debt to all of you. You'll hope a great event to occur. I won't be able to gather what. So this sounds diplomatic. Then again, this could be diplomatic because people usually like people being in debt so they can get something back out of it. This sounds snooty though. Ah, it is diplomatic, okay. I promise to fulfill one wish, within reason, for each of you when I'm done with the potion. Meaning that I'll do something for you. A service for a service. You'll have to help me. It's like I'm trying to excuse myself for asking for help. I'll give tasks to my servants every day, so why do I feel so uncomfortable now? Because you're not in the power balance aspect of the servitude anymore. Okay. He's the only one that has hearts there, yeah. A heavy feeling appears in my chest, quickly dissolving among other thoughts. Tomorrow Glam and I will go to get the first ingredients. Choosing the golem as my helper is easy. He was at the place where I need to go, and he won't say no to me for sure. Citru would have wheeled his way out of it, and I would have had to talk to Salt into it, even though he benevolently agreed to wait for the result and sometimes, depending on his mood and will, might even agree to take part in my missions. That will be all. You can go if you don't want to eat the dessert. Will your loyal servant get a reward? Depending on your behavior. Why did you decide that I'm going to help you? And why did you decide that you're not going to? Your problems are not my issue. My indignation reaches the tipping point, and I blurt out, well then, the place you'll be spending the night at is not my issue either. Should I give you a blanket? Nights in the desert are cold. Lightning charges zap between us, but the verbal battle with a highly unpredictable end gets suddenly interrupted by Clem's clumsy fall off the chair. Little Golem is such a loser. A tree. I clear the demon and he falls silent at once. It's okay. I'll clean everything up at once. Blushing, the young man starts picking the shards of a plate mixed with chunks of food off the floor. Come here. Glam obeys, lowering his guilty eyes. I take his hand in mine and examine a small crack that appeared on it after the fall. Go to my room after dinner. I'll fix you up. There's no need to waste your powers on me. It'll be troublesome if you start falling apart on your way to the ingredients. I won't have time to fix you on the road. I'll make a gesture to show that there can be no debate about this matter and begin to eat dessert. Glen's cooking skills are incredible, so I couldn't hold myself back anymore. I have no doubt that Gestalt likes the meals as well, but he'll never admit it. The young man understands that there's no point in arguing with me and exchanges quick glances. No matter what they think, I'll twist everything so that it leaves them no choice but to follow my lead. After the tense conversation, I go back to my room with some papers I took for a closer look and the calculations, and a couple of books I had no time to browse through. It's necessary to check everything, even if it's going to be the 100th time. I lay everything out on my bed and plunge into reading. Immortality is a combination of all worldly components, joined together an endless healing of the matter that's supposed to regress in the flow of time. The philosophical excerpts I've underlined a long time ago. I know them all by heart, but still repeat them every day. I flip the page, and after reading some more of the information, get lost in multitudes of thoughts that wake scientific fantasy in me, and make me take some new notes. Alas, my creative solitude doesn't last long. Clem's head appears around the doorframe. He came here obediently to treat his wound, just like I told him to. Right, I almost forgot about it. I'm distracted by the science. Suddenly I hear a blood-curdling scream. With a puff of black cloud descends from above right in front of me, then Citri materializes and tells me with a smirk that he found something curious. Help. It sounds like the mage is in the living room, but his voice was unnaturally high, as if it was a young girl screaming, not him. Now I want to taunt him about it. I have no peace. I should tend to the wound because I can't treat it on the way. Because I feel like Because that's what I'm here for, right? So, deal with your problems on your own, Gestalt. Citri, your ports will have to wait. I'm busy. Dean ventures out my chambers with a scrunched up face. I walk to the entrance and close the curtains made of pebbles over it to block any distracting noise. It's so nice that they fully replaced the door thanks to the magic properties of the starry quartz absorption of light and sound. This is where we'll stop.